Welcome back, welcome back. It's time to do a little learning.
All right, this is an interesting video. In 1963, the CIA classified a book, not a military strategy, not a weapons blueprint, not a field report from some Cold War intelligence operation, but a book about what happens when civilizations end. The author was a man named Chan Thomas, and his book laid out a theory that the Earth goes through cyclical cataclysms, pole shifts, crustal displacements, magnetic field reversals, events that wipe even advanced civilizations off the map and reset the human clock to zero. They stopped its publication, and for 50 years, that was the end of the story. Then, in 2013, under a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information request, they released 57 pages of a much longer book. And what they kept is what matters for the topic of this video. The chapters on how these mechanisms actually work. What happens to Earth's magnetic field during a shift. The connections to aliens. And the aftermath. What the world would look like after everything resets. Now, for a long time, nobody could explain why a book that a lot of very rational people and mainstream science would dismiss as pseudoscience, that's right, this book, why would this book need to be classified by the CIA for 50 years? And that extremely strange mystery is what this video is about. In researching this video, we pulled on the classic thread, and that thread happened to connect to 5 separate discoveries in 5 separate fields that all point to the same conclusion. An archaeological site in Turkey with over 200 stone pillars buried underground, carved out 12,000 years ago, with 90% of it still unexcavated after 3 decades of knowing it's there. A sister site 46 kilometers away where they just found the first human face ever carved.
12,000 years, huh? So would that be like, according to the book, 1,000 years down here is 1 day upstairs. So would that be like 2 weeks? And I don't really think that's what it is, because they keep finding things that's really old. So what if, like, in the Matrix, the architect told Neo, the one, we did this 5 times already, dog. Walk through the fucking door.
The conspiracy assholes. See, I'm in the middle, because I know both is real. I know my father's real, but I also know in that book, the Lord said, man is so smart, I gotta go down there and confuse the shit out of them, because they fucking smart, and they can do anything. So, I believe my father, and then I think all we ever do is copy what we see in nature. So when you learn that insects can take over a fucking, a bigger organism's brain and walk it around like a fucking puppet, then you'll understand that man can do the same thing. When you understand that animals send signals to other animals and then they go the other way or they get scared. There's animals that and let out pheromones and different things, and then things react different. See, once you start studying the simplest things, the big things are very understandable. And you mere peasants don't realize I'm not what you think I am. I don't give a fuck what I look like, and I don't give a fuck what I really am myself. Still trying to figure it out. What I do know is, more and more I gain knowledge on seeing you niggas, the ones that are in front and the ones that are in the back. And like I said, when I figure out Solomon, when I figure it out, I'm gonna take your demons away from you. Or like these guys that turned your demon on you. Oh yeah, I got the reading today that whatever you let out, it's coming for you now. And you shouldn't have called it. I don't know what you call it, but I call it the Sith. And it won't stop. It works for my father. See, you fucking idiots think that every boogity get go cause destruction. That's a demon. No. See, that's why my father made me study Vegeta, the mortal that became a god of destruction for the gods. You know? God says, go take all of them out, the whole planet. You know, like he did before, take them all out. I don't like them anymore. And he appointed one man to do it now.
Carved on one of those pillars. They found that in October of last year. An Oxford professor who spent 40 years surveying 600 stone circles and found the same measurement unit across 1,000 miles of open ocean, then watching his entire body of work be erased from the academic record. 2 scientific papers about a catastrophic comet 12,800 years ago that were published, peer-reviewed, and then retracted, while the majority of their own authors publicly disagreed with the retraction. Then finally, the Dartmouth-educated defense contractor whose book connecting all of it the CIA locked away for half a century. 5 discoveries, 5 fields, and in every case, the questions they raised got shut down before they were answered. And the CIA's behind all of it. Our first thread starts in southeastern Turkey on a limestone ridge called Göbekli Tepe. You've probably heard of Göbekli Tepe. It's a classic pseudoscience talking point. In 1963, a joint survey from the universities of Istanbul and Chicago found some broken limestone slabs sticking out of the ground. They assumed they were medieval gravestones, noted them in their survey log, and moved on. 30 years went by. 1994, a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt visited the site, recognized the broken slabs for what they actually were, which was the tops of massive T-shaped pillars buried in the hillside. And Klaus understood that what he was looking at was older than anything anyone had ever found. The pillars were carved from limestone, 3 to 6 meters tall, some weighing 8 to 10 metric tons. Big. And they were shaped using flint tools, because that's all that these poor old people had. No metal, no wheels, no draft animals, just some flint and a love of the game. And there's still an unfinished pillar sitting in the quarry 7 meters long, and it's roughly 50 metric tons, nearly as heavy as an M1 Abrams tank. They couldn't move it, but they tried. But they moved the other ones, and they didn't build downhill from the quarry. They moved these pillars up to 500 meters uphill to the top of the ridge. And Schmidt spent the rest of his career at Göbekli Tepe. He eventually died in 2014, still digging, still excavating. And the line he's most remembered for is his quote, "First came the temple, then the city." And what Klaus meant was that Göbekli Tepe could invert everything we thought we knew about how civilizations develop, because it's really old, much older than the other civilizations that we think are old. And the standard model for old civilizations goes like this. People settle down, they start farming, they build villages, they develop religion, and eventually they build monuments. Göbekli Tepe seems to indicate the opposite happened. The monuments came first, and the settlement came later. This is all...
I wonder if that's because the Lord made his children first, the angels, and then he said, I want you to go on my favorite creation and start building things. I wonder why they had to build. Oh, because like a good father, you don't send your fucking child into the world with no way to live and no way to how to fight the environment. Because the world's a brutal fucking place. My father made this place a battleground and the most peaceful thing in existence. You know? I wonder if that's the first generation of people that he sent to subdue all the wild beast animal things. Because, you know, that's what the Bible says. The first group of men and women are not down here to fucking chill. You're down here to fuck shit up. Get shit in order. And then there's Adam, the farmer, you know? Because while you're fucking shit up, you're going to need people to feed you.
Super Saiyan. See, when I realized that, and then I realized Metatron the angel is really Enoch the man, and that Satan gave his spot up as the Watchers, you know, the messengers of God, and that made me realize, oh, so Goku really can become friend of God and be his best friend. and get special powers, angel powers. Yeah, that's what Goku got. Goku got taught by an angel how to activate angel power. It's not Ultra Instinct, it's God mode. What you think, there ain't no thinking. Ultra Instincts is I know what to do. There is no instinct.
You know, like people that believe in God, and then there's the Noah, the knower.
No, you're so in tune. You don't think of things. You react to everything. You just react.
And then people say, how's he know what I'm doing? He's dodging my blows. He's foiling the plans. Because I already know these things. You're only doing what has been done. So what will you do? What was done?
That's why I said a while ago, thank you for tapping me in. Because I'm not no super smart guy. And I damn sure ain't the holiest, man. You know, cigarettes, talking crazy. You know? So that would mean that the Lord doesn't want me to be like Jesus. You know? Like Goku. And he also chose Vegeta, the guy with the evil in the heart, and said, keep it. Don't lose the evil. That rage you got? No. We want you to use that. You're not getting Ultra Instincts. You're not, no. We got another angel to teach you, the Lord of Destruction. And that power is gained through rage.
Predicated on radiocarbon dating, of course, but Göbekli Tepe's oldest radiocarbon dates put construction at roughly 9500 BCE. To put that into context, the Great Pyramid of Giza was built around 2560 BCE, a 7,000 year gap. The wheel, writing, pottery in the Near East, all of it came thousands of years after these people were chopping away at these big old stones with flint. Smithsonian Magazine put it this way, quote, there's more time between Göbekli Tepe and the Sumerian clay tablets than from Sumer to today. Yeah.
So would that be like the Lord saying, all right, go live. You're fucking up. I'm going to end you if you don't stop. And then they don't stop. And then he gets rid of you. And then he starts it all up again. And then more people get their chance, which would mean different people get the rule. And then they don't stop. And he says, I'm going to get rid of you. And they say, I do whatever the fuck I want. And he gets rid of you. And then we keep going and keep going. And now we're on like the 7th or 5th or whatever. You know, because people keep finding these civilizations that's older than the last one we say is the oldest. So would that mean my father doesn't change, and whoever doesn't change, you're going fucking bye-bye? Don't change, no problem. Someone else gets their turn to change.
Because you're going to have to destroy people. And some of them may fight back.
Sound the horns!
I understood my position a long time ago. That's why I keep telling people, it's not a physical thing. Because I know that's all you mortals have.
You get it? First he sends people to, and then you people punish them. And then that person calls the angel of destruction on you. And then you get what you fucking deserve. You fucking assholes. But then everybody goes, why is everything happening? Because you deserve it. Buckle your fucking seatbelt and take what you deserve. The Lord will protect the ones that are good. Right?
Father made me a warrior priest. That's why when I say what's going to happen to you, it's gonna happen. There's nothing you can do about it. Even if you take me out, it just makes it worse. You see, I'm still here, right? And fuck this first encounter. You don't even kind of stop. It's ridiculous at this point.
And we treat Sumer as ancient history. The beginning of recorded civilization in Göbekli Tepe is as far from Sumer as Sumer is from us. These people had no writing, no metal tools, no pottery, no domestic.
So when I keep saying you niggas is still trying to fucking be like David and Solomon, I represent Adam, nigga. The motherfuckers that was here first.
Animals, and according to the standard model, no agriculture. How'd they eat and shit? With all that being said, they somehow organized a construction project that required quarrying multi-ton limestone pillars, shaping them with flint, and moving them uphill to a ridge. That's the foundation. What they actually carved on those pillars is what tends to make it a bit strange. They're abstract architecture. If you look closely,
Skip.
that is a 0.13% margin of error. Very impressive. And what that means is that these three enclosures weren't built independently over time. They were planned as a single project, meaning somebody probably drew a geometric blueprint 12,000 years ago before the stones were quarried with flint tools. Hockley and Gopher put it this way in the Cambridge.
You're making the highest mathematics there possibly can be, but you only are smart enough to make flint tools. But you're geniuses before the genius was even allowed to, It's before there's writing. Thousands and thousands of years before we discover everything. Oh, before my father said, here, you can be smart again, you fucking dummies. I give wisdom. I make the things happen. You just do the fucking work.
Archaeological Journal. They said, quote, certain planning capabilities and practices, such as the use of geometry and the formulation of floor plans, were traditionally assumed to have emerged much later. Traditionally assumed, of course. Traditional assumptions, it's the whole point of science, I think, is to just have your traditional assumptions be blasted out of the water. For example,
I wonder why my father said, fuck your traditions. It traps you in a cycle. And if you don't have all the knowledge, well, you get what the fuck you get. You get stuck in that cycle, and you get what everybody else got. That was in that cycle. You go bye-bye. And someone else gets to try.
Me thinking that I could trust my government. I'm just kidding, I've never thought that. Anyways, how about the skull cult? Ever heard of them? Creepy little fuckers. In 2017, Science Advances published a paper documenting 3 modified human skulls that were found at Göbekli Tepe. Deep grooves had been carved across the foreheads using flint tools, and one skull had a hole drilled through the parietal bone, 6.7 millimeters wide on the outside, and positioned so that when you hang the skull from a cord, it faces forward. It's a fucking decoration, all right, like Conspiracy Halloween, pretty much. The DAI described the perforation as designed to suspend the skull from, quote, a post or the beam of a building, perhaps even from a T-shaped pillar with no face. So, we give the monument a face, a painted human skull hanging from the faceless stone giant. Really interesting. Red ochre painted on the bone, modifications made shortly after death while the bone was still elastic. Because bones are elastic, if you didn't know. So now we have a previously undocumented form of skull veneration from the oldest monumental site on Earth. This should be fucking worldwide news! This isn't a campsite. This is organized religion, geometric planning, and ritual practice at a pretty sizable scale that all was not supposed to exist for another 6,000 years. I'm gonna take my pants off, run around fucking naked. We've barely looked at this thing. What the dude? Now, there's been ground-penetrating radar surveys that have detected at least 20 large enclosures still buried underground with an estimated 200-plus pillars total. And since all this came out, roughly 30 years, the excavation team has uncovered 72 of them. At the current pace, full excavation would take around 150 years. But Göbekli Tepe is not alone, and this is where it gets bigly, much bigly than one site. Starting in 2021, the Turkish Ministry of Culture launched the Taz Tapiler Project, which was a coordinated excavation of 12 related sites across southeastern Turkey, all from the same period. A bunch of sites, a bunch of institutions, and 219 researchers all working concurrently on this idea. It's pretty exciting. These sites share the same sort of T-shaped pillars, the same animal iconography, serpents, foxes, leopards, boars, vultures.
So the same structures. that are older than the pyramid. The only thing that we like to run around and talk shit about, oh, there's one here and there's one there. Well, there's other things that's older than that, and they're all around too.
Me, plus the same construction techniques and non-local materials like obsidian and basalt that confirm trade, long-distance exchange, bartering, maybe not trade, but long-distance exchange networks. They were operating at this time. At Sefer Tepe, they found a chamber with over 30 human skulls, and all skulls shared the same veneration practices at a completely different location, guys. This was a civilization, all right? This isn't just one place, Göbekli Tepe, 12,000 years old, really impressive, or whatever, man. This is a network. It's a whole thing, a civilization-scale building program, hundreds of miles apart between these, using shared symbols and shared construction methods 11,000 years ago. It's pretty cool. Then more come.
Now we're at the pinnacle of mathematics, and we're building things, we're doing things right. And people know that other people exist all around the world, and we can't build this shit. We can't do what they did, so they had to be smarter, and they were just local. But there's structures all around the world. None of them knew each other though. There wasn't a wide world network of exactly what we have now, because people were smarter, but they were too stupid to fucking venture out in the world. Yeah, sure.
Comes out, of course.
But we're idiots, and we've colonized the world and all these other things, right? We've built the same goofy structures too, buildings that won't last and will turn to dust 100 years.
2025 subsurface scanning detected rectangular domestic structures on the slopes of Göbekli Tepe. Evidence that people lived there year-round, grinding stones and cereal remnants. Carved channels feeding into cisterns cut from bedrock. The excavation team described this as the oldest known facilities for drinking water on Earth. Interesting. A Nova PBS documentary that premiered last month called it evidence that the Göbekli Tepe may have been humanity's oldest known city, which I feel like people already sort of, I feel like people already kind of suspected that. You don't really just get like a bunch of, well, maybe you do get a bunch of old people just building shit, and then they're just like, you know what? Let's all die. Not write anything down. Let's build a bunch of shit, kill each other, smash each other's heads in, maybe humanoid, contract herpes, and then just be forgotten. Apparently
Let's build the greatest things in the world, get to the pinnacle of knowledge and technology or whatever, right? And then go to war with each other. Fuck human, non-human entities is what he said. And then smash each other's heads in. Oh, that's what how the Bible says the old world ended. Before the flood happens, the Lord put a curse on the fallen, the non-human entities that slept with man, and he said, you're all gonna fight each other to the death. You're gonna live Mortal Kombat. And your fathers that started all this, they're gonna watch. I'm gonna make them watch. Because they came down here and created all this, so they're gonna watch their children obliterate each other as punishment.
just said is total horseshit and didn't actually happen. Because around 8000 BCE, it was buried. They buried it. It wasn't abandoned, it was buried. The enclosures were buried. They were deliberately backfilled with soil and flint debris and animal bones. And the covering involves both intentional human activity and, of course, natural slope erosion. But the fact remains that someone filled these enclosures in.
I wonder if the survivors learned their fucking lesson and said, shit, we can't be playing with that shit no more. Let's bury it because, we made it like damn near indestructible. And I ain't got time, the Lord fucked the tools up, so best we can do is hide this shit from the future idiot ass stupid fucking retard children that one day's gonna wanna grow up and say, I wanna do more things, I wanna do things. What's that over there? Why can't we go over there? Why are we not allowed in that part of the forest? Why? I want to know.
And
Curiosity killed the cat.
I can only imagine what he told you guys. I can only imagine. That's why you sent Bridget, right?
Oh.
I bet you that's why you sent Bridget.
I guess that's the end of the biblical talk on that video, but me watching that video again, that's talking to my enemies, laughing at them, my father taking wrath upon everybody. And then I said that Enoch thing and that do, and I was like watching this, and I said, oh shit, is he explaining what you were seeing in that video and what you learned in the Bible, and you know the way the Bible describes the world being? And people keep finding things and saying people couldn't build this. We were too stupid. We didn't have tools. Well, if we couldn't build it, who built it?
And that filling is what preserved the site for 10,000 years. And the filling even happened way before everything else, too. So who filled it in? Now, idiots like myself are going to be like, why don't you just dig it all up? What the But the archaeological community says that this slow pace of excavation is standard methodology, and it makes sense. Lee Claire told NPR in a hushed tone.
You see, for a long time I used to be like, they're hiding things. And then I learned, yeah, because some things need to be hidden because there's a